here.
I got both phones going off. How many phones do I need? We are live. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is paraglidingtalk.com. You're here with Phil Russman and Kyle O. Yeah, we're fired up. So we're having a little technical difficulties.
Hey, I see Trey just
there he is.
There he is.
Oh, Trey got it. That was down to the wire, man. We were like,
man,
it's not working. Let's download something else. Fantastic.
Yeah, glad we got it working.
Yeah.
What's up, Trey?
How's it going, Kyle?
Oh, man, it's raining in Louisiana. Freaking miserable.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're North Carolina.
Freezing today here, so.
Are you in North Carolina? Am I getting that right?
No, Pennsylvania, up near Philly.
Okay. I was close, like a couple states off.
Yeah.
It's a paramotor flight away. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
So if you're chiming in or logging in, welcome to the show. So glad that you're here. In my pursuit to learn more about paragliding, thought we would create a way to have a hangout, discuss paragliding, paramotoring, pretty much anything flying. And so my name is Robert Michaels. Want to encourage you to come each week and join us on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You can check out the website for all the upcoming shows and upcoming events at paraglidingtalk.com. And so tonight we have a privilege to have Trey Sapp. You've also seen him on YouTube as PPGFlyr, and he was one of the first guys that I saw flying on YouTube, and I was completely inspired. And so he's kind of a celebrity in my little world, and so we have him on the show tonight. And so I'm excited. We're gonna jump right in. We're gonna take some questions from the chat bar. If you have questions, shoot us those. And while we're going through, I've got just a handful of questions that I wanted to ask. Phil Russman is a paramotor and free flight instructor, one of the best. And everywhere you go, you're going to hear about him eventually. He is famous in my world. He's the Chuck Norris of paragliding. And so he's got some really great knowledge, and he's my instructor.
On the cover of the Bible, man. He's on the cover of the Bible.
Not anymore.
Oh, they took you off? Oh, no.
They took me off. They put a buddy
Thanks, Jeff Cohen. What a punk, man.
That's Wait, right. I want my money back.
Oh, I didn't even know that was him. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I'm still on the back.
So Trey, what's the weather like in Pennsylvania?
Actually, yeah, I'm one of those. I don't know which one, but I'm one of those guys.
Nice.
Still technically on the cover.
Nice.
Technically on the back.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So Kyle O, if you guys don't know, check out Kyle's channel on YouTube. I'll put the links in the description at the bottom. You got to go check out his channels. All kinds of good stuff. It's not just paramotoring, it's free flight, it's design, it's engineering, it's all kinds of good stuff. Kyle's also the local drug dealer, and so you know, if you need drugs, you can go to him too. So let's dig right into the show. Really appreciate everybody being here. I'm trying to get Nick Hawks on. He wanted to be a part of it. Let me just shoot him. He's texting me on the side over here.
What you drinking there, Trey? That didn't look like iced tea.
Yeah, it was iced tea.
Hey, what's the weather like in Pennsylvania?
Today was actually really nice. It was about 50 degrees, and I went flying for about 2.5 hours today, and couldn't be happier. I mean, it's been really, really cold. I mean, less than 20 degrees for about 2 weeks, and so today was really the first flyable day since Christmas.
I haven't been since a week before Christmas. It's killing me, man. I'm starting to get the shakes.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a great time today. There were a couple other pilots that went up with me, and one of them just learned to fly this last fall, and we did a wingtip bump at like 1,200 feet. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
First one.
Yeah. The paragliding handshake. If you don't know what it is,
yeah.
it's this when you.
it was exactly that. Yeah, it was a good.
No, I mean when you're on the ground, that's how you shake hands. You know, at the flying. We invented that a few years ago.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Secret handshake.
So Trey's been flying for how many years now?
Just over 5 years.
5 years. You fly a paramotor. What do you fly, and why did you choose that setup?
Sure. First of all, there's lots of great equipment out there, but my instructor led me towards a Fresh Breeze motor, and you know, where I live is not exactly country. It's sort of semi-rural, and so I chose a quieter engine because of that. And Fresh Breeze makes, you know, their engines tend to be a little bit quieter than some of the others. And I've had my same unit, so I've got a Fresh Breeze Seminini 122, and I've had it for the whole 5 years, and it's been through some rough and tumble stuff, but you know, I do all my own maintenance on my machine, and it's good. My wing is a Revo 2, 26 square meters. Again, that's the original equipment that I've gotten. I've flown it for 5 years, and I'm looking to get into something probably 20 meters in the next year or so. So it served me well for 5 years.
Do some demos, man. Demos are the way to go. Just try out some stuff and find what you like.
Well, that would require me getting down to places like Wings Over Winter, which I obviously didn't get down to. And
no, they'll ship them to you. It's just the U.S. mail. It's like $50, and you know, well, with some dealers, I know Dudek. You can get Dudek demos all day. You got the experience. I've had 2 at a time. He shipped them 2 at a time to me to try out. I didn't know what size I wanted.
I'll have to look into that for sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool option, man.
Yeah. So, Nick, you asked how much I weighed. When I got into the sport, I was probably about 175, and probably right now I'm about 190. So, my motor dry, I think without any gas in it, is about 50 pounds.
With a Seminini?
Yes.
You've got the titanium version, right?
Yes, I have the titanium. Yep.
Yeah, those are good engines, man. That's my first engine too.
Which Seminini is this? Is this the one, the 205 cc?
122.
Oh.
Well, I think it is a 200 cc displacement though. They call it a 122, like a model number, but I believe it's about 200 cc's engine.
I agree with that. It's 24 horsepower. Yeah.
Right. It's over 200 cc's, and
you're saying
it's only 50 pounds.
Dry, it's about 50. Yeah.
And that's ready to fly, harness hooked up, propeller, and everything, right?
Well, again, that's dry, no gas, so it would not be ready to fly. But yes,
right. But no gas.
I'm typically about 65 pounds because I usually put about two gallons of fuel in there at a time. It holds almost 5, right? 4 point something.
Wow, 50 pounds. That's pretty impressive for a Seminini paramotor.
So my instructor, Kevin McKelvey, when I was first training on his equipment weighed 85 pounds. So when I got mine, it was a delight to lose 30 pounds. And I think it's good to be able to train with something heavier than you're going to end up using. So
I agree that a heavier engine makes you focus on being good at your technique, because you don't want to blow a launch and have to reset a bunch of crap with that big brick on your back.
And you don't want to trip, fall, none of that. Yeah.
No. But it, you know, when you do switch to something lighter, it's like going from being the fat kid to the nimble kid. You know, it's all of a sudden you're agile and you've got agility and you can move easier. You don't have as much mass to move around. So
exactly.
You know, the weight is not as important as it seems like it is at the beginning of this stuff. But,
right.
You know, I mean, I feel like with the right technique, you could launch a 150-pound paramotor if you do it right. It's just, you know, carrying it over to the wing is the hard part.
Right.
But,
right.
You know,
Yeah,
I know
I
all
always-
the new guys always ask about the weight. You know, it's always about the weight, but it's really not that huge of a factor, depending on what you're doing with it. Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I don't launch with a lot of stuff, but, you know, watching Tucker do the Icarus and how much gear he had to carry,
Yeah.
you know, I can't imagine having to launch with, you know, 30 pounds of gear on top of what you're already carrying. That's kind of crazy. Although I will do it one day, so I'll be there.
That's I have a question on that, and we'll ask that towards the end.
Sure.
Talk to us about your well, how you got into paramotoring, and how did that evolve into the dream come true?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'll start by saying I kind of got to this in my email with you, but since a very little age, as a kid, I always dreamt of flying, and I hear a lot of people in the sport say that, but I literally would dream of flapping my arms, running, and flying, you know, 100 feet off the ground. I could watch everything moving underneath me. How I could dream that, I really don't know at that age, but you know, flying airplanes and the like is a little bit financially out of my reach. So when someone approached me in my, you know, 5 years ago, approached me about training with somebody and getting into PPG, it was like an immediate response. Absolutely. Like, there's no question, I'll do it. So the two of us went through training, and a couple months later, after a lot of ground practice and field practice with my wing, took my first flight. That was November 3rd, 2012, I believe. And so, you know, I haven't looked back since. The training itself was very good. My instructor, Kevin McKelvey, has syllabus training. You know, he's not one of the more popular instructors, but he's very good at what he does, and he pays attention to his students. And for the most part, you know, I still stay in touch with him. I happen to live pretty close to where he is, but I still talk to him 5 years on, and he'll answer questions. He'll go over my gear with me. And, you know, I think that's really important for an instructor, to stay around and not just leave a student high and dry, if you will. Right.
So let's get right into the guts of the conversation. I was looking through some of your videos. I found your powered paragliding crash video.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that and see if we can learn from that. And I know that you're very humble, and you've posted that video for that reason. And so I want just maybe you can, because it's not something that we like to. I have one of those videos too. I have a couple of them actually. But you know, it's embarrassing, it's frustrating, but I think we can all learn from it. While you're talking about it, I'm gonna actually play it in the screen, so you should be able to see it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So can you send me the link?
You'll see it right now, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a tight launch area to begin with, but there's some power lines right in front of me, and if you look off to the left there, you can see sort of a radio tower, and I'm only at about, I want to say, 20 flights in from ever learning, so still very much green, and I pulled way too much brake on takeoff. I'll talk you through the video. So right here, I'm launching. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it all the way over the power line, so I started turning left, which is against the torque of my machine. And then right now I'm like, okay, left, there's a big tower. I got to pull harder left. And right here, my wing starts to collapse on the left-hand side. I do a 180, and I fall on literally what is the only rock in this field. And I landed on the top of the rock and slid down the side of it, which I think probably saved my legs from being broken. You know, if I landed straight on the ground, you know, I don't have Dell's crumple zone, so I could have died.
But, you know, I saw this video years ago, and I just now realizing that it was you.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah, neat.
I ended up stalling my wing is what happened. If I had done this at altitude, I would have been fine. The wing would have just did a 180 and I would have flown off the other way, but I was low enough to the ground that I ended up hitting it. I ended up breaking my prop because it struck the rock that I landed on. But that was it. I didn't get hurt. The bottoms of my feet were sore for a little bit, but less than 24 hours, I was at my instructor's house, going frame by frame with the video and figuring out what I did wrong. And then, you know, it's things like this that you end up learning from. And I learned from my mistakes. I learned from other people's mistakes. And I think that's a good thing to be able to share this knowledge. And, you know, I'm just lucky that I had video rolling. So I was able to analyze the video with my instructor, and I think that was very key. So
stall spin, man.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, exactly. That's a SIV. That's where that comes in, because you do that in SIV and you learn what it feels like. You know, that's probably the best training I've ever done is SIV training. I felt like it was the most beneficial. I got more out of that than any other training I've ever done. So
yeah, I can't wait
goes to show.
SIV course. I will do it one day. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and you know, there's not a lot offered out here on the East Coast.
Yeah. I mean, anywhere. It's there's just not too many of them that go on in this country.
Yeah.
So what are the big takeaways from that? I mean, you launched, you're heavy-handed, not enough weight shift, obviously, those simple fundamental things, but a new guy, how's he going to avoid something like that? And you know, how did you come to that place where you were so deep in the brakes even after coming out of training?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that I was brand new. You know, I learned with my instructor, trained with him, and I did my first 10 flights on his equipment, and I probably did another 5 or 6 flights on my own equipment. And then I was at this place, right? I'm on my own. Currently, my instructor handles his new students a little bit differently and actually requires them to do more like 30 or 40 flights before he lets them go on his own, which I agree with. And I'm out at the field actually helping him with new students as we speak. But, you know, I wish that I was trained like that and I had more confidence in the way I was taking off. Having the right training is key, but might not have avoided this collision, this crash. So I just wasn't aware. Getting deep in the brakes, installing the left side of the wing, I'd never gotten into that. All of my flights have been very calm winds and no obstructions, and so this was just a learning experience. And for someone to avoid it, there are lots of things that I did wrong. I went against the torque of my machine. That was one thing. If I had turned to the right, it would have been a much easier turn, and I would have gotten out of it probably. But
going back to even the most simple, easiest thing in the first place is pick a better spot with no obstructions. I mean, that may not be an option where you're at. I don't know. But just having a huge field with nothing around is going to be the best decision you could make for something like that. Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure kind of deal. Yeah, all the stuff you said is obviously right, but that's probably going to be the easiest thing for a newer guy is to pick a wide open spot with nothing to hit and nothing to dodge.
Yes,
and it prevents all the extra stuff.
What I do with my students is when they leave the nest, and they go home and I'm not around where they're going to be flying, I have them send me some pictures and maybe a Google map coordinates of where they're thinking about launching, so that if there's any question about it, I can go over it with them and we can I can say yay or nay over the phone.
Yeah, that's smart.
Phil, what do you think about what he mentioned about 30 flights before his instructor turns the new guys loose these days?
That's a nice number. I think it depends on the student, but I think 20 to 30 is average.
So when I got my training, I did, like I said, my first 15 or so right in front of my instructor, and not all of those had comms. The first 5 had comms on. But now he's actually making the pilots do multiple takeoffs. I mean, like 10 a day, 10 takeoffs and landings. They go around and you know, that repetition is so key, you know?
So instructors sometimes have a couple of different styles. Some instructors will get them up there and let them float around the sky and get them familiar. And with some students, you need to do that. But my feeling is that, especially if you're doing an inland site where you've got a couple of hours to work with or less, if they've got the endurance, you need to get them up in the air. And as soon as they're comfortable and rested from their takeoff run, you know, let them do the pattern a couple of times, let them rest up. And as soon as they're rested up, bring them in for another full stop landing, have them put the wing down and catch their breath and have them take off again. And then they can rest in the air again and just keep doing it over and over until they've absolutely got it. And the thing about learning anything, especially those takeoffs and landings, is if you do a bunch of them in a row over and over, you will learn more quickly because you're comparing. You have really good feedback. You're comparing, oh, that 2 times ago I did it this way and that worked better. I'm going to try that. And rapid repetition is a big help.
I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. You know, my first couple years, I didn't have a lot of flights, and it was because I was sort of cut loose early, if you will, and I was kind of doing it on my own. And you run into these patches or these mistakes that you learn from. And, you know, the last 2 years I've flown a ton. And my first 3 years, it just wasn't as much. And so I'm happy with where I am right now. I'm a lot better pilot than I used to be. And, you know, like I said, I'm always learning from any mistake that I make or that I see.
What size is your Revo?
26.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Revo 2. It's older.
Right. I said Revo for short, but yeah, I heard you say it.
Yeah, it's Revo 26. 2. And
yeah.
I've flown it since the beginning, and it's a really great wing. I believe it's an A-rated wing, and I think I want to get into something a little bit smaller, like more like a 20 for a secondary wing. But this wing is such a great wing for beginners to sort of intermediate. I think it's just a good all-around wing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on how high an aspect ratio you're going to go. You can go down to a 20. And Dudek makes some really great wings. I think you mentioned Dudek before. Is that right?
Well, I did. I was.
I'm sorry. But in any case, yeah, Dudek and Mac Para and Ozone make some really great wings. And they've got some great technology out there. And some of their higher aspect ratio wings, you can, you know, at your weight and your power could be okay on a 20. You just have to be willing to go to that higher aspect ratio wing, like a 5.9 or something like that, like a Snake or a Viper.
Right.
Nick joined us. Check it out.
Oh, it's Chris.
Chris, I'm sorry, I said the wrong name.
Max Para.
Are you still in Miami?
No, I just got back.
Oh, lucky.
So those guys are flying around for what is it? Wings over winter over there?
Yeah, there was a lot of people excited about that, by the way. Like even down in Miami.
It looked fun. I saw somebody got hurt. One of the guys busted his ankle, and I want to say they didn't. Well, I know there was an ambulance on the ground. I saw Tucker's video or one of the other guys. By the way, we need to figure out how to get Tucker on here.
He's a busy guy, man.
Okay, he's like 1 billion subscribers now, and he's like, yeah, he hasn't responded to any of my comments anymore. I invited him to the show with the email, and he hasn't responded.
Yeah,
we'll get.
I can't imagine what that guy's inbox looks like.
Right now, he's living out of a van right now, van life for him. So I guess he's probably not wanting to be on a live chat out of the van.
Yeah, he needs to just do it. No internet.
Just send it.
Just send it.
Hey Trey, I got a question for you. After you had your accident and you come down on that rock, how long was it before you got back? And did you have like reservations about getting back, or did you just know instantly, like, oh, I'm fixing it and flying immediately? That's
the latter, fixing it and flying immediately.
okay. I figured you would say that.
Yeah. So, you know, the desire to fly is so strong for me. It literally is like mental yoga for me. You know, and
I feel you all the way, man. 100%.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about it as well, and we're on the same page as far as that goes. So, like I said, I went to my instructor's house less than 24 hours later, reviewed the video, understood what I did wrong, called Southern Skies, ordered a new prop, and, you know, 10 days later, I was probably in the air.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Get back on the horse, as they say, right?
Absolutely. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Heck yeah. Nice. I'm ready to get back in the air.
Yeah, it was good to get in the air today. It was awesome. It was actually really windy. The winds aloft were like 45 miles an hour at 3,000 feet, which is very, very strong. And so I was up at about maybe 1,200 feet flying backwards today, which was another first for me. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a big shear? Did you notice some turbulence before you?
No,
got
there was
into
no
that
shear. It was
sometimes
just
it's smooth. Yeah.
really bumpy under 500 feet. And then sort of above that, it was just so smooth and just that's why
that may be what you were feeling. That may have been where it was shearing, because there's always going to be some shear when you get that much of a jump. Yeah. You know, even if it's blowing the same direction, the speed difference causes it to roll and you get those turbulences.
Yeah.
What time of day was it?
All afternoon today. So from about 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock. So, yeah.